Hey, you guys. Hey, everyone. I hope everyone's having a happy Friday night. So I haven't talked about this topic yet. I keep up with the Chrisleys a good bit, but this is one thing that I haven't really touched on. So I'm going to try to wind it back a little bit and just kind of go from the beginning. So Todd and Julie Chrisley, they were found guilty of several counts of bank fraud, tax evasion, things of the liking. They were recently sentenced to prison terms. Now, Julie was sentenced to 7 years and Todd was sentenced to 12 years, if memory serves me correctly. Either way, they're going to be going away. One of the main concerns with everyone was what was going to happen to the two younger kids. They have Grayson, who is 16, and then they have Chloe, who is 11. I think she's 11. Who's going to take the kids? I remember when we were first talking about, them being sentenced, me saying, I wonder if they were going to request a staggered sentence. Like maybe whoever gets the least amount of time, maybe that person served their sentence first, and then whoever has, like say, we know that Julie has the least amount of time. So maybe she would serve her sentence first. When she's done with it, Todd would go and serve his sentence. That way, they would have at least one parent at home to be there for the two underage children. They did request that. They actually requested that it be a staggered sentence, but they were not granted that. Really, when you really look at it, to be honest, I think it's best. If it was me, I think at first I'd think that I want a staggered sentence. That way, someone would be home with my kids. But could you imagine if you had the staggered sentence? So 7 years down the line, Julie's getting out, but then Todd's going, and it's dragged on for 12 years. But if they do it all together, both at the same time, when 7 years comes, Julie's going to be able to get out. And then Todd only has a few more years left to serve, rather than it being 12 more, 12 more years. So I think the staggered sentence thing, even though it sounded like a good idea, honestly, it would have drugged the situation out so much more, right? So one thing that happened though, after they were sentenced, was Chloe's biological mom has come out to say that she wants to get custody of Chloe. She's come out to say that she doesn't think that it's fair that Chloe is going to be with Savannah. Now we know that Savannah will be the one to take on the responsibilities of parenting Chloe as well as Grayson. Now, Grayson is 16. He's almost like an adult, basically, but he will need someone there, sign report cards, be legally responsible for him. So she's going to take over Chloe and Grayson. When this news came out, Angela Johnson, who is Chloe's biological mother, she has come out to say she don't agree with it and that she wants custody of Chloe back. So I'm going to kind of start this back a little bit, okay? So news broke. It says the mother of Todd and Julie Chrisley's granddaughter is vowing to get her daughter back, and the path could be clear now that Todd and Julie are headed to prison, which I really don't think that's the case. I really don't think that the path is clear because according to what's being said, she signed her rights away. They were terminated. The judge said, listen, from the time that you terminate, you have so many days to come back and rethink your decision, or basically come back and say, I think I made a bad decision. And she didn't do that. She made the decision, never came back to say, I think I screwed up. She was also asked, the judge asked her, is anyone forcing you to do this? Are you being paid to do this? Are you being pressured to terminate your rights for your daughter? And she said no. So, for her to come back now and say, well, I was pressured, it wasn't fair, I was pushed out of their lives, that doesn't seem fair. Okay, so I don't think it's going to be a clear path for her by any means at all. So Angela Johnson, the mother of 10-year-old Chloe, tells TMZ that she's in the process. Hold on a second. Hold on one second, guys. It's getting super cold here, and my nose is starting to run. What's a troll? Who's a troll? Oh, hold on, y'all. No fighting in the chat, please. I was wondering who was named guardian of the kids. So right now, Savannah is going to get custody of the kids. Nobody's a troll. Wooden's not a troll. Political's not a troll. They're both here from time to time. I know Wooden personally, and I've talked to Political. Political's been in my chat for at least a year on and off, so I know nobody's a troll. Just difference of opinions, you guys. Just difference of opinions. It's okay. Okay, so Angela Johnson, who's the mother of 10-year-old Chloe, tells TMZ that she is in the process of getting the gears turning to regain custody of her daughter. Todd currently has full custody of Chloe. Now, here's the thing. It's right after Todd and Julie was found guilty, Angela came out to say that she had been speaking with attorneys. She's like, I've been speaking with attorneys over time, trying to figure out how to get my daughter back. And they asked her, have you filed any paperwork? And she said, no, I haven't filed any paperwork, but we've been talking about it. So they were sentenced last month, I think. When were they sentenced? Last month. And it's been a month and nothing's still been filed. Still nothing's been filed. So she says she's been working with a legal team for years to get Chloe back. So she's been working with a legal team for years, yet not one single stitch of paperwork has been filed. Doesn't really make sense. I know in the state of Louisiana, you have to prove the mother unfit, and it's difficult. Like my sister, Flossie, you guys know Flossie, they have custody of her husband's son. And there was CPS cases. It was just a lot. And this wasn't them trying to take the boy. This was just CPS stepping in, contacting the dad. It was a lot. It was a lot. And they gave her chance after chance. I know in Louisiana, it's hard to take a kid from their mother. She did give up her rights. She gave up her rights. So she said for years she's been working with a legal team, but nothing's ever been filed, so keep that in mind. She says that it's been super tough to gain traction. Chloe and the Chrisleys have lived in Atlanta before they moved to Tennessee. Angela, who currently lives in South Carolina, tells us all the moves have created a jurisdictional nightmare in order for her to gain custody. Which, if you speak to any lawyer, more than likely, they're going to say you need to file where they live. So they lived in Atlanta up until just a few years ago when Savannah moved to Tennessee to go to college, I think it was. Then they moved to Tennessee. So it wasn't one of these things where they were just kind of hopping all over the place, They lived in Georgia, born and raised, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong there. But they lived in Georgia for many, many years. And then they moved to Tennessee. So if she wanted custody of Chloe, any lawyer will tell you, I think you have to file in their jurisdiction. I don't think these lawyers are going to be like for years just sitting around like, we don't know what to do. Well, we don't know what to do. For her to be like, we've been doing this for years, I don't think so. I just don't think so. Personally, I've been through 3 different CPS investigations, and her dad is still in her life, and so is grandma. I asked for supervised visits, but it's very difficult. Yes, Annette, that was absolutely the allegations, is that the biological mother of Chloe, allegations, were on drugs, and that she filed false medical documents as well as food stamps. So, Angela had Chloe with Kyle, who is Todd and Julie's son, back in 2012. Kyle lost custody in 2016 due to his drug addiction, leaving Angela to share custody with Todd. So when Kyle lost custody, Todd stepped up, and it was Todd and Angela working together. Todd bought Angela a car. Todd bought Angela a condo to live in. And Todd said, I never wanted Angela to say that I left them in the streets. And then I bought her a car because I needed her to be able to come meet me to drop the baby off and meet me to pick the baby back up. So I literally bought her a car. I put her in a condo. All I required from her was to make sure you show up to do the exchange for the baby and to make sure you pay the HOA fee, which was not very much. And Angela would not pay the HOA fee, and she would miss drop-offs a lot. Angela was arrested that same year for allegedly filing a false application for medical assistance or for Medicaid assistance, and that left Todd with sole custody of Chloe. Angela has copped a plea to put the case behind her. Now she wants her daughter back. Something's got to give since Todd was just sentenced to 12 years in prison for bank fraud and tax evasion. So Savannah Chrisley vowed last month that she would be getting custody of Chloe once her parents are locked up, but clearly Angela is not down with that. So we're gonna listen to this clip. It's like a 2 minute clip of what Angela has to say. I'm gonna have to stop and commentate on it. I'm not gonna show you guys the clip because YouTube is being really hard. I gotta be super careful.
I want her home.
So mind you,
she deserves to be home.
Okay, so mind you that Todd and Julie have had Chloe since she was, I think, 5 years old, maybe. And what, she's 10 now? So they've had her for about 5 years. If the information that I think I know is correct, they've had her for about 5 years. So she had 5 years with her mom and now 5 years with them. So home to her, more than likely, the most stable place that she's had has been with the Chrisleys. So she's saying after 5 years, she wants her home.
I've held back for so long to try to patiently do it.
I'm telling you, if somebody booted me out of my kid's life and I'm trying to get my kids back, and I'm not going to be patient, I'm going to be demanding. This is your child. If you want your child back, you can't be patient. Because guess what? Nobody's going to be a voice for you. You got to do it.
And I don't think it's right for them to just pretend that I don't exist and just say, oh, we're just going to let Savannah get her.
From my understanding, that there was visitation set in place that she just didn't show up for.
It don't make sense. Yeah, that's not true because I didn't even commit Medicaid fraud. And I even had proof that I didn't commit Medicaid fraud, and I never claimed Chloe when I could not claim Chloe. Never did. That was just for them to make me look bad because I never, literally, my record was clean. No.
So she's basically saying that she thinks the family set her up for Medicaid fraud. But I don't know how they would have known that she filed for it. You know, usually when you get busted for like Medicaid fraud or like food stamp fraud, which is also what I heard that she was busted for, Medicaid fraud and food stamp fraud, it's because the state catches you. You know, they go over your application and they see that you've lied somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how Todd, unless she told Todd that she filed for Medicaid and he reported her, I don't know.
Nothing on my record. For 26, 27 years, I've never had anything on my record until somebody said, oh, well, she committed Medicaid fraud. No, I did not. I mean, as far as Savannah.
And Jeffrey Dahmer never had anything on his record for the longest time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you just don't have anything on your record until you get caught doing something wrong.
Savannah goes with Chloe, I don't think it's right because at the end of the day, my thing is I'm her biological mom. I was cut out of her life. I didn't walk away from her. I was pushed out of her life, and they wanted me to forget about Chloe, and they wanted Chloe to forget about me like I don't exist. So the reason why I feel like Chloe should be...
I don't know. I just don't believe that she was pushed out because Todd says he's got court documents where a judge asked her. I mean, ain't nobody going to have me standing in front of a judge giving my rights up to my kids. No way, Jose. I don't care what you got over my head. You could have a sex tape. You could have, I don't care. I don't care what you know about me. If I'm standing in front of a judge and the judge says, do you want to terminate your rights? I would say, no way. I do not.
Home is, I mean, she has family back home. My whole side of the family, she probably won't even remember because she's been away for 6 years almost. That's not right for her to be, first of all, a child should be with their mother, first of all.
But when you stood in front of that judge and you said, I want to sign my rights over, that's a decision that she made, you know, not them. They were the ones that, in my opinion, stepped up to say, we will take her. Especially, she could have went into the system when she was making that decision. When Angela was making that decision to not be a parent, she could have went into the system. But instead, they stepped up and said, we'll take her. You know, this is my personal opinion. You know, some people believe her, and that's okay. If the mom hadn't did anything for that kid to be taken, she shouldn't have been taken away from me anyway. But for them to continue to keep her away from me, that's
That's not right. I don't understand why I had to do joint custody with Todd and Julie in the first place.
Well, I think that was some states have grandparents' rights, right? Some states have grandparents' rights. So if, say, my daughter had a child and my daughter got in legal trouble and lost custody of her daughter, then I could share custody with the baby's father. It could be me and the baby's father. That's just, to me, I think that was Todd and him stepping up saying, listen, our son might be an idiot and can't tend to the baby, but we can and we want to see her. We want to have a relationship with her.
Because it's not like that I would just keep them away from Chloe. They figured that when we did joint custody, then, oh, that's their way to see Chloe. I wouldn't have never kept Chloe away from her other side. If they wanted to see her, they could see her. But for us to go from joint custody to them just taking her all the way, that's just too far. Like, I wouldn't.
Now, Todd is going to speak on this. He is going to speak on everything that she's saying.
Ever want that to happen to any mom that's doing right by her kid. I want her with me. But if Kyle's doing right, if Kyle's living his life right, I mean, I can't say nothing. I mean, I haven't even spoken to Kyle, so I don't know how Kyle's living. I don't have.
Kyle's doing good. I think Kyle's engaged. He's sober. So Kyle's doing great.
No social media. I have no idea, but I want her with me. Just like my other two kids are. They're with me.
You know, that is good to know that she does have her other two children. We're going to see what Todd's response is to this, you guys, okay? So this was her speaking out right after it came out that Todd and Julie Chrisley were going to jail and that Savannah was going to get custody of Chloe. Anytime I say Chloe, I almost want to say Clotilla because I know a little girl named Chloe and I call her Clotilla. Okay, so 1 week ago, this article came out in response. Todd and Julie Chrisley are firing back at recent claims that Chloe Chrisley's biological mother, Angela Johnson, is planning to fight for custody of the 10-year-old. The legally... Gotta love the Ashley. Listen, I like Todd and Julie, and I'm their fan, but this is funny. The legally challenged couple released a statement on Wednesday, calling an interview that Angela recently did about trying to gain custody back of Chloe unfortunate and misleading. Now, Todd and Julie will be heading off to prison next month. They have had custody of Chloe since 2016. They've had full custody of Chloe since 2016. 6 years. Angela revealed to TMZ that she plans to try to regain custody of Chloe, that she is not okay with Savannah getting custody of Chloe. She doesn't feel that it's fair. She also claims that she's been working behind the scenes for years to regain custody of her daughter. To me, that right there tells me all I need to know. If you've been working to regain custody for years, but not one stitch of paperwork has been filed, then you've really not been working behind the scenes for years. I mean, maybe you've talked to a few different lawyers. Maybe you've, done the free consult with 15 different lawyers. And maybe that in your mind is you working, but for years and nothing's been filed, that just doesn't make sense in itself. And that's enough to make me question anything that she's saying. So she also claims that she was pushed out of Chloe's life by the Chrisleys. Oh, wow. Really? I didn't know that. Oh, wow. Did it, Sherry? Yeah, lawyers do cost a lot of money. Lawyers do cost. But that's something that she could have said. Rather than saying I've been working behind the scenes for years trying to get custody and it's a jurisdiction problem, she could have said, I have two other kids. Financially, I just can't do it. I have spoken to lawyers, but financially I don't have the money to do it. That would make way more sense than to say that she's been trying to fight for custody for years and nothing's been filed and it's over jurisdiction. Any lawyer can tell you where you need to file. Because guess what? They were living in... if she went to a lawyer 5 years ago, right after she lost custody, a year after she lost custody, they were living in Georgia. So all she needed to do was contact an attorney in Georgia and say, what do we need to do? And he would have been able to tell you. And then if you didn't have the money, you could have said, I don't have the money. If that would have been her excuse, is I just don't have the money, I would have believed that. But saying jurisdiction and it's been years and nothing's happened, I don't believe that. Okay, so Todd and Julie responded to Angela's statements with a statement of their own. It says, Todd and Julie are saddened by the unfortunate and misleading narrative currently being portrayed in the media regarding Chloe. Furthermore, Jessica Doyle, the family attorney that Todd and Julie used during Chloe's adoption process, told the outlet that Angela's statements are simply not legally correct or even valid. So this attorney, Jessica Doyle, said, I handled the formal adoption of Chloe by Todd and Julie Chrisley. Angela Johnson's parental rights were terminated when she voluntarily surrendered her parental rights to Todd and Julie Chrisley on March 24th, 2017. She has had no contact with the minor child since 2015. So here's the thing. She had not had any contact with Chloe in 2 years when they went to court and she terminated her own rights. 2 years. She had not contacted her daughter. And she still had custody of her daughter. She was sharing custody with Todd. It was her and Todd. Todd had Chloe, had her for 2 years. She never called. She never came. She never asked to get her back. And then they took her to court to get full custody. And she terminated her own rights. I really think if they were to ask Chloe who she wanted to stay with, she would probably say Savannah. Okay, so let's continue. So this is the lawyer speaking. The lawyer saying, listen, I handled the case. She stopped seeing her daughter in 2015. In 2017, she was adopted by Todd and Julie Chrisley. Mind you, in 2015, she still had custody of her daughter. So, for those in need of a refresher on the Chloe Chrisley custody situation, Kyle lost custody of his daughter in 2013 after he was arrested and charged with assault. He was also struggling with addiction at the time. Angela lost her rights to Chloe after she was arrested in 2016 for Medicaid and food stamp fraud. Last week, Angela denied those claims, saying that she had proof of her innocence, but she didn't mention the food stamp fraud in that video. She only mentioned the Medicaid fraud, saying when I filled out the application for Medicaid, I never tried to claim Chloe when I wasn't allowed to claim Chloe. Todd and Julie's family attorneys say that the Chrisleys not only have custody of Chloe, but they are legally her parents by way of the adoption. So the attorney says, I have reviewed the public statements made by Angela Johnson. They are simply not legally correct or even valid. Savannah is reportedly being tasked to take custody of Chloe and Grayson while her parents serve their respective prison sentence. The 25-year-old confirmed on a recent episode of her Unlocked podcast that Chloe has a grasp on all the legal issues that the Chrisley families are going through, though she didn't expound on whether that meant that Todd and Julie legal issues or the custody situation involving her biological mother, like which legal issues she was talking about. Todd and Julie's, her mother's, or both, or just one or the other. But look at this photo here. Like, she hasn't seen her mom in years. I really think she would say that she wanted to stay with Savannah if she was asked. I really don't know why her dad, I think the reason Kyle wouldn't ask for custody is because he feels like maybe it would be stepping on his dad's toes, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, so during the pre-recorded episode, Savannah told her mom that Chloe listens more than you think. She'll put on her headphones and act like she's listening to something when in reality, Nothing's on, so you think she's listening to something else when really she's listening to the conversation. Savannah went on to say that Chloe has heard about what's going on and she's dealing with it in her own way. Chloe's father, Cal, has not yet publicly commented on the situation with Angela. So that was last week. Now this is this week. This is 3 hours ago. Todd is once again firing back at Angela, the biological mother of his adopted daughter, Chloe, following Angela's recent claims that she is planning to regain custody of the 10-year-old when Todd and his wife, Julie, head to prison next month. So, you guys all know about what went down, because I already told you. She plans to regain custody. Not okay with the fact that Savannah is going to get custody of Chloe. Now, Todd responded to Angela's comments on the latest episode of his Chrisley Confessions podcast, calling it ironic that Chloe's biological mother is coming forward now when she has not been in Chloe's life since 2015. He then informs his listeners that Angela willingly gave up her rights to Chloe after she was allegedly a no-show for visitation much of the time. Angela Johnson surrendered her parental rights on March 2017, and we never heard from her again. He added that he and Julie legally adopted Chloe and will be the ones who decide if and when the time comes as to who will be her caregiver. While expounding on Angela surrendering her rights to Chloe, Todd said a judge explained to Angela at the time that she had a certain number of days to return to the court and rescind her action, and the judge also asked Angela if anyone had threatened her, promised her anything financial for surrendering her rights to her daughter. Angela had previously claimed that she was pushed out of Chloe's life by the Chrisleys. Todd said the answers to all of that is no, and that's in writing. That is a court document. So she signed a court document stating no one paid me off, no one threatened me, this is of my own decision. Todd went on to claim that years earlier, he and Julie purchased a condo for Angela and Chloe at the time for them to live in because he didn't want Chloe to grow up and think that he allowed her and her mother to be in the streets. Todd said Angela would have been able to live in that condo until Chloe turned 18 years old, which at that point, Chloe could have done whatever she wanted to do with it. The only stipulation, he said, was that Angela would need to pay the monthly HOA fee, which was $250, which Todd said Angela would not do. Todd also claimed that he had tried to get Angela established with a career. He said, I've given this woman money to go to school for nursing, only to find out that she never completed any of it. She was just using us for money. Todd claims that back when Angela was sharing custody with him and Julie, the Chrisleys purchased a Toyota Prius for Angela because she did not have a car at the time and needed to be able to meet them every other week to pick up and drop Chloe off. Todd said Angela wouldn't show up half the time and wouldn't answer her phone, which was what prompted him and Julie to move forward with the adoption. Todd reiterated that Angela terminated her rights voluntarily and suggested that she spend her time and efforts elsewhere. He said, what she needs to do is spend more time trying to find a better wig and less time trying to go out there and get more time on the camera. So that's what he said. He says he has all the paperwork, which, this is sealed information, I'm sure. Like, if he can't put it out, more than likely. But I just don't see someone losing their rights as a mom for no reason at all. A big reason that Mom Angela has been having a difficult time getting back to the courts because 2 states are involved and they move away. Visitation is difficult enough to court. Well, she hasn't even attempted to visit with her. Like, has she even called the Chrisleys to say, can I visit with my daughter? I think there was a joint custody at first, Aaron, but she for some reason gave her rights up. I mean, if I was dealing with if I had joint custody of a child that I loved and cared for, and their other parent was like, I want y'all can have her. I can't be like, no, don't do that. I mean, I guess I could, and I probably would. I'd probably sit down and talk to him and be like, don't do this. Don't give up your rights. And I don't know if that's something they ever did. They might have said, nah, she's too much of a handful. We do all this stuff for her. She don't appreciate it. She don't answer our calls half the time. I don't know. But you can't tell a mom, or, you can't make a mom's decision for her. That is definitely, yeah, I think he's trying to be funny there. Like, go spend your time looking for a better wig. I think he's trying to be funny, but it's probably not funny for him to say that. Thank you, Dara. Dara, thank you so much. I think Todd moved to Tennessee because he was following Savannah. Savannah went to college there. But either way, she didn't live in the same state as them either way. So, like, she lived, where did it say that she lived? Okay, Angela lives in South Carolina. So they lived in Georgia and then they moved to Tennessee. So she lives in South Carolina. Yeah, they moved because Savannah went to college. They followed her to college. My daughter knows what's going on at age 12. She likes earplugs, but I know that she's listening and acts like she's always, yeah. Kids do that from time to time. But I would, I would love for them to say, who do you want to live with? Because I do believe she would say Savannah. I really do. I believe, all the photos that you see of her with them, she's smiling, she's happy. Yeah, it is a juvenile case, so a lot of it's going to be under wraps. But Todd will make sure he says, yes, people say stuff like that, Mackie. I don't think that's true at all. I mean, that's his son's daughter. He loves her. Right. Savannah did unfortunately drop out of college, but they say she's going back. I was watching a previous episode of Unlocked. It was the one where Grayson was on, and she was talking about going back to college. It's probably got to be tempting, though, when you're making money. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're already making decent money, so why go back to college when it's like a lot of time and effort has to be put in it, doing stuff you don't like to do, writing essays, doing homework, when you can just be like an influencer and you have this. She has a makeup brand that does well. Um, if she gave up her right and Todd and Julia adopted Chloe, it doesn't mean that she lost her legal rights, her parental rights to her child. The only way she lost custody. She signed her rights away. Her rights were completely terminated through the court of law. Chloe is not going to give up that lifestyle she's accustomed to. Yeah, the judge asked repeatedly to make sure she understands it's permanent and they have no rights. Yeah, the judge said you have so many days to come back to rescind your decision, but after that, it's done. And she said, okay, she signed on the dotted line from what's being said. So that's where it's at. I mean, I don't think the mom has like a legal leg to stand on, really. If she doesn't have the money to fight, she's never going to get Chloe back, anyways, if she doesn't have the money to fight. Because they're going to fight. If she comes back, you got to have attorneys for this. Especially if you're living in different states, you got to have an attorney in their state. I mean, I've been kind of dealing with a situation like this. Like, I have someone in a different state that really harasses me online, like, terribly. Says, like, the most craziest lies about me. And at first it was like, whatever. But then it's things like comparing me to a murderer and a bank robber. It's the weirdest things. I don't even know. So, like, I've been talking to the police department, lawyers, and everything. And, like, I have to hire a lawyer here. Then we have to, through my lawyer here, have to hire a lawyer in his home state. And it's a lot, So as an adopted mom, it makes me mad to even call herself Chloe's mom. She is her bio. Yeah. It's just disheartening to see. Absolutely, it's disheartening to see. All the way around, it's disheartening to see because Chloe was with her mom until she was 5, so she knew her mom. My daughter is 5 now. I cannot imagine my daughter going to live with her grandma, even though she knows her grandma. She's not extremely comfortable with her grandma. You know what I'm saying? I mean, her grandma babysits her from time to time. Her grandma homeschools her, so she goes to her grandmother's house every day, Monday through Friday, for a couple of hours for homeschool. But if I was to just disappear and she would be there all day, every day, that would take a lot of adjusting, and that would be heartbreaking for my daughter to go through that. Even though she knows grandma, for her to have this transition to where the mommy that she knows, mommies are important to little girls, to little kids. I'm just so murdery. I know it's wild. But mommies are important to little girls, little kids. That's the person. If you get a bobo, where's mom? You know. So that change, that transition to be at the Chrisleys, difficult, heartbreaking to think that she went through that. And now it does seem like she's gotten comfortable there. She calls Todd and Julie mom and dad. She calls Savannah sassy, like those. You know what I'm saying? Mom and dad, brother, sister type of thing. She's been there for 5 years at this point. That's now what's comfortable for her. So if this person who is her mom, but she no longer knows, was to come back in her life, I'm sure maybe for visitation to be fine, but to take her, I think that would be another uncomfortable, heartbreaking transition for her. If the mom is serious, then she should go about it the right way. Chloe's mental health is more important than flipping her from place to place. Yeah, or do it, publicly talking about it. Because here's the thing. Say Chloe hears about this, and maybe Chloe does want to have something to do with her mom. And maybe Chloe starts being hopeful, like, oh my goodness, my mom wants something to do with me again. And she's just kind of waiting, like, when are we going to hear from my mom? Because that would be cool to see my mom again. And then it never happens. She's just all talk to the media. At Aaron, are you an adoptive parent? If not, I don't want to, hold on. If the child is adopted, there's no way for the bio mom to regain custody. I'm not. I should have talked to my mother-in-law about it before. Yeah, people really need to separate the Chrisleys' character they built themselves as for a TV show and who they really are. I think they're good people. I think they made some mistakes. Absolutely. I think they were greedy, but I also think maybe they were judged wrongly. Maybe they were framed and wrongly convicted. Seen it happen, seen it happen. It's a possibility, but I do like them. I do like these people. But I understand that other people don't, and that's A-okay. Didn't matter if she didn't believe she could win or had no chance to win. Didn't matter how many times Judge asked her. Just Google it and we'll find many examples like that. If the child was adopted, there's no way for the bio mom. Yeah, that'd be a huge lifestyle change for a 10-year-old. I just hope they let her use her little 10-year-old voice. Absolutely. Political, are you calling me a Todd lover? I can't help it. I do like him. Yeah, and unfortunately, when you don't have money, that's kind of the way that it is. But that's something that she could say. Come out and say, I want my daughter back so bad. I miss my daughter, but I financially cannot go up against the Chrisleys. I know I can't. I've talked to attorneys. I know it's going to be a big cost, and I have 2 other children. I can't. Rather than instilling any false hope into Chloe in case she was to hear about this. If the mom is serious, then she should go about it the right way. Yep. And I know cases, let me tell you, there's a situation right now that I know about where there's a 16-year-old girl that is in the hospital. She broke her arm, and she does not hear from her biological mom. She has not seen her biological mom in probably like a year and a half or so, hasn't seen her. Now, every once in a while, her biological mom will text her here and there. La da da. If the 16-year-old girl has this something happen and doesn't text the biological mom, and the biological mom hears about it, the biological mom will call her daughter and chew her up one side down the other. Why didn't you tell me about that? Blah 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 blah. So yeah, we are full of. It's okay. Yeah, y'all. Everybody is more than welcome to their own opinion. It's fine. If people love Todd, let us love Todd. If people hate Todd, let them hate Todd. It's okay. Um, we don't want any division. I mean, we don't want any hateful division. We can have division, just no hateful division. So this 16-year-old girl deals with the mom never wanting to be there, except when it's like something that could go on social media, 8th grade graduation, shows up to take pictures. So the girl broke a bone in the hospital. So the child texts the mom, hey, broke a bone in the hospital, gonna be having surgery. Mind you, as the mom hasn't been there in like a year and a half, like actually physically seen her, right? So yesterday, when the girl was in the hospital having surgery on broken bone, stepmom and bio dad who raised this girl, I mean, literally, if you were to see them, you would think stepmom is bio mom because stepmom does everything for a 16-year-old girl. Is there for everything, doesn't miss out on anything. So anyways, stepmom and bio dad is in the back with the girl, and bio mom gets there. But only 2 people are allowed in the back with the girl. Well, bio mom is buzzing. Let me back there. That's my son. That's my daughter. Try not to give too many details. That's my daughter. Let me back there, So they're like, well, ma'am, there's 2 people back here. Like, the parents are already back here. And they're, she's like, no, that's my kid. I'm the biological mom. And they let her in. And she's like, bio mom is wanting to fight the hospital staff, because it's just a whole big thing. So stepmom leaves from back there with the child, even though stepmom does everything for the kid. So bio mom can be back there. Bio mom will leave after the surgery, and the child will not, may talk to the child here and there, may show back up in a year. Is it really fair? Because you do have these people that step in and they step up and they take care of these kids. You have step parents that like my husband. My husband steps up and takes care of my 2 kids that are not his biological kids. But then when real dad wants to hop in the picture for a picture, it can be kind of irritating. But we let them. We always let them. I'm like, if my kids want him here, then I'm going to let him be here. But it's difficult. Hey, Kelly. That's true. Yeah. I can see you, Justine. I need to read the chat over here, though. Oh, let me change it to live chat. Sorry, I'm on top chat. Let's see. I know. Like, I like Todd, but maybe he has a shady side. Maybe. Mom took me to my grandma's with a man she had met, left me to live with him 4 years. Came back at 12 years old, got me. Growing up back with her, I waited for her to leave again. Wow. Sorry, there are attorneys who will do. Are there attorneys that will do pro bono custody work? I'm not sure. The mom voluntarily gave up her rights. There's no trickery there. She could have told the judge she does not agree. Maybe she should have been a parent. I'm an adopted parent, and I'm offended. I could understand that. Will Ty get protected in prison? It will not be good for him. I think they're going to be going to one of those prisons that's more like a camp-style prison. It's not going to be one of those prisons where it's going to be real difficult. Like Mike, the situation went to, it's going to be one of those, from my understanding. The kids know they aren't stupid. I co-parent more with stepmom than I do her bio dad. Yeah. Yeah, kids are not stupid. More or less, take care of a child. They need to give this woman her bio kid back and hope she can get her kid back. I don't think she's going to have a leg to stand on, but we'll see. I mean, it's been years and she hasn't filed anything. And if she just can't afford it, I think she could probably step up and say, hey, I can't afford it, but I want to get custody of my kid back. And she could probably start a GoFundMe and people will probably help her. You know, saying that we've been looking into it for years, but not filing anything makes me look at her sideways. Because I'm like, listen, you know, okay, let me tell you guys this. You want to know how long it took me? One time, my older kids, they have a different dad than my younger kids, right? A guy that I dated for several years. He was my high school sweetheart. Anyways, we have two kids together. At one point, he got a wild hair up his butt and decided, I'm going to take the girl, not the boy. Me and him have two kids together. Our oldest is a girl. Our youngest is a boy. Now they're 17 and 15. But back then, my daughter was 8. And he said, I'm going to take the girl. And I'm like, over my dead body, because he was just in and out, not stable at all. Never paid child support, never was there for her. But then he got married, and the woman that he got married to was, I liked her. But he was like, I'm going to take our daughter. And I'm like, I don't think so. So the second he decided he was going to take our child, I went right over to an attorney's office. I said, this is what I'm dealing with. I gave him the whole rundown. I said, and I'm not doing this. I'll do whatever it takes. There's no way he can get custody of my daughter, but I need it written in stone. Oh, I need to go ahead, and we need to go ahead and go see a judge about this. You know, and he told me, he said, if you think he's going to file for custody, and he lived like almost 2 hours away, he said, you need to go ahead and file it. He said, we could file it here. You could go ahead and file to get a custody agreement set in place, because if he files it there, we're going to have to fight there, right? I said, okay, what's it going to take? He said, I need $5,000 today to start. That was his retainer. This was 8 years ago, something like that, 9 years ago. I said, okay, let me call my husband. I walked outside, called Sean, couldn't get him to wake up. Sean was taking a nap. So I called him over and over and over, couldn't get him to wake up. I called my mom. I said, this is where we're at. I said, can you get in touch with Sean? She said, yep. I said, I'm about to pay the money. Let Sean know. She said, all right, I'll let him know. I went back in there, wrote a check for it. I said, let's get busy. I wasn't about to let him start it, and then I just have to fight up there, and it cost me even more money. So this $5,000 wrote the check right then. And this was on a Friday. That Tuesday, because that Monday was like the 4th of July or something. So it was that Tuesday, he said, this is what I'm filing. I'm filing this, this, and this, and it costs this, this, and this. You need to pay it. I said, all right. We started paying. It took me no time. Now, thankfully I have the money, you know what I'm saying, to do all of that. And then it got dropped. Dad was like, never mind. Dad was like, never mind, because he didn't have the money to fight me. He was like, never mind, I'm not doing it. We're good, So I'm like, okay then. And we come to an understanding. But if you don't have the money, you could just say that. I know in NY there are pro bono lawyers available for a variety of cases. I'm not sure about other states. I thought pro bono attorneys dealt with like criminal stuff, not civil. Did the media approach her, or did she approach the media? Well, I don't know, but TMZ got video of her in her car, like doing like an interview. Exactly, Burr. That's kind of the way that I feel. So I don't know. Just my personal opinion. I feel like there's more being said than what's being done. Like if you want to get custody of your child, then put in the legwork. If you can't afford it, say that. There's nothing wrong with that. The Chrisleys are, while maybe they don't have the money they wanted us to believe that they have, they clearly have money to fight legal battles. They're fighting their own legal battle. They've, been involved in lawsuits. So they can afford to fight for Chloe, and they will. But if you can't, just say that. Just say, I can't go up against them, but yes, I want my daughter back. And I just feel like, maybe if she was to even reach out, can I have a communication with her? She said, I have not communicated with Kyle in years. I don't even know how to go about communicating with him. Maybe start a social media account, shoot him a message and say, hey, I want to talk to you. I would like to just see my daughter, speak to my daughter, ask my daughter if she's willing to speak to me. Maybe if they ask Chloe, Chloe would say yay or nay. And, I don't know, just no legwork. And she says they've been trying for years. Really makes me like, I don't know. When I see pictures of Chloe with the family, she looks happy. If you watch them on the Chrisleys, she looks like she has a nice little life. She looks like she enjoys the life. So, I don't know, I don't know. I do have a firm belief that kids should know their family. Unless it's not in the best interest of the child. Unless it's not in the best interest of the child. If this woman's never been in no trouble, if the only trouble that she got into was like the food stamps and the Medicaid fraud, maybe she was going through a difficult time. Maybe, I don't know, but if she's not been arrested, if she's, drugs, and she's got 2 kids and she does okay, if it was me personally, I would probably let her have something to do with her mom. As long as her mom wasn't, running around trashing us and lying on us. But I don't think that's going to get her anywhere. So, from my understanding, the family never stopped her from being a part of her life. From my understanding, she just never showed up or called or came. But that's just from my understanding. That's what Todd has said. Listen, she wouldn't come to visitations. She wouldn't call. She went 2 years without contacting us, and we had Chloe. So if that's the case, if the case is that they were there with Chloe and she just never called, came, or showed up for a visit, that's on her. That can't be on them. Now, if there's some proof out there that she called and they wouldn't answer and she popped up at the house and they hid and stuff like that, then I would definitely put a little bit more blame on Todd. So that's where we're at right now, you guys. I'm going to keep up with the situation. If anything ever is filed and I find out, you guys will be the first to know. So I am going to keep up with this. You guys leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. Does anyone know how Grayson is doing from his car issues? Grayson is doing fine. He didn't really get hurt at all. Hey, it doesn't matter who we vote for, you guys. It doesn't matter who we vote for. You guys can have your different opinions. That's okay. I'm going to leave you guys to not get into it. I don't know why I'm going to leave you guys to not get into it. I don't know what I was going to say there. But yeah, Grayson's fine. He totaled his truck. But he is okay. But yeah, you guys leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. What's your thoughts? Do you guys believe that she really is trying to get custody back of her daughter and that she deserves custody of her daughter? Or do you guys believe that this is just for her to get on camera and that she, really signed over rights to her daughter and never really came around? Leave me your thoughts. Give this video a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.